What's going on, everyone? We are now in Aliens issue 3 of 4. This is the second volume of Aliens. So back in the day, we've talked about this as we've been going through, but Dark Horse initially got the IP for Aliens, and they set the original sequel from James Cameron's Aliens. And they did volume 1, which was 6 issues, volume 2, which was 4 issues, which we are going over, and then they did what was called the Earth War, which was another 4 issues that closed it out. And then they made subsequent series that we've gone over, such as Hive and Genocide. They've also did a novelization. After Alien 3 came out, they released reprints of these and basically pushed it into extended universe. Wilkes is Hicks, Billy is Newt, etc., so forth. And then, spoiler, if you haven't watched any of these videos, pause this, go watch the playlist up to this point and come back, or get the books and you're back. Ripley eventually shows up. And in the original, it's Ripley being reunited with Hicks and Newt. But for what the novelization, the reprint is called Female War. She's an android. And I got to reread the novel. It's been a long time. I'm going back through, what was the first one called? Earth Hive. And then this one's called Nightmare Asylum, and then the Female Wars. So let's dive in to the next chapter. Hicks and everyone had escaped Earth on a ship called the American. Initially, when they re-landed, the government was going to leave them, basically saying that they were, what do you call it, dead weight. But Hicks grabbed an android named Butler, who was in love with Newt, and of course Newt, and they got transported to Base 3, which is where we learn about General Spears. He wants to use the alien to conquer Earth, basically using the Xenomorphs that he trains here to go and battle the ones on Earth. Hicks is meeting up with Spears' second-in-command named Powell. Powell's been logging Spears' movements, saying that he's seen him become more obsessed and more cruel. And that's what we find out at the end of the last issue. So we expound upon it here. When I joined the Marines, I was proud to serve my country. They want that. They want you to think you're doing something right and noble. Sometimes you believe it. Sometimes it's even true. Powell was in second command, reporting directly to General Spears. He had followed me into the lower decks of the stranded cargo ship because he needed me. He's insane, you know. Spears thinking he can turn the alien against its own kind. He's taken the civilian terraforming base and turned it into a breeding station. All the colonists are dead. Only a few of us know the truth. So on this planet, initially they were trying to terraform it, and there was like a central processor like on Acheron. People were running it. Spears, when he landed, realized that this processor plant was self-automation, so he saw the people as redundant. And we'll get more into that. Hicks says Spears believed, and the purity of his belief was terrifying. No one is safe. Spears has wired the entire compound. His staff monitors the senior officers 24 hours a day. Every few days, someone displeases them. They just disappear. We have to find a way to stop him before the madness goes too far. Now, before we continue, script, Mark Verheiden, art, Den Beauvais, layouts and assist, Roger Castleman, lettering, David Jackson. Print date on this is March 1990. We now open to the terraforming, the processor plant that we were talking about just a moment ago. Why is this important? Over the course of the last 2 issues, there are 3 Marines who couldn't take Spears' insanity anymore. So they thought that they would escape to the terraforming processor plant and hide among the civilians. It's important what Powell said, where all the colonists are dead. And then we open up to a very disturbing hive. And I just mean, look at the color. This is something you would see in Heavy Metal Magazine. Medical types look at insanity like some sort of disease. But I think it's more mechanical than that, like a broken connection or a malfunctioning computer chip. Life, thought, emotion, just electrical pulses passing between different lobes of the brain. When something mechanical fails, you don't waste time with psychology. You either repair it or you replace it. I knew I'd have to kill him. And just look at the way that he has this sort of like hallelujah stance as he walks among the eggs, hugs it. If you read the novelization of Nightmare Asylum, this scene gets expounded upon, talking about that he's so excited that he actually gets aroused. That's how excited he is, not in that way, but just because of what he's doing and the strength of his resolve and his belief. As that's happening, Spears is about a day or so away from the base. So Powell uses this time to bring Hicks up to speed. He says, "There's something you should see." The general commandeered the terraforming colony to use as a test site. He wanted to acclimate the alien to human authority. His technicians kept careful video logs of the experiments. The colonists were told that a new strain of virulent bacteria had been found, a byproduct of the nascent terraforming process. And I like how they use the memory basically through the lens of the CRT monitors that has become one of the aesthetics of Aliens. So you see the lines. Spears used the site as an excuse to seal the colonists into separate quarantine cells. We knew from the Earth transmissions that the Queen communicated with its drones through an empathic mental link. Spears used that. So we see how the alien comes in, and there's nowhere for this girl to go, and she's just screaming. There's nothing she can do. She dies. You never forget the screams. Never. He says, "That's enough. Burn it." He forced the Queen to watch as he burned its children. And we just see the anger in the Queen's face as she wants to attack Spears. "Over here." No. As the sessions continued, I'm not sure what was more frightening, General Spears and his methods, or the fact that the alien Queen seemed to understand. And so, because the aliens will stop when he flicks his Zippo or his lighter or threaten to burn an egg or a drone, the Queen behaves. As the sessions continued, Spears removed the selected drones from their physical proximity to the Queen and brought them to the main base. He wanted to be near them, help prepare them for their journey to Earth, prepare them for war. And he even goes on to say that Spears modified the pulse rifles for aliens to hold. You know, they may not be good shots, just the fact that he's getting them to march and step and shoot is just a terrifying thought. Hicks says there's a word for what we're discussing. And, you know, the first thing that comes to mind when you think of military, you're thinking of like AWOL, you're thinking of treason. And I like how Pell kind of shaded in the shadows. Yes, survival. Now, when it comes to Butler and Newt, Mark Verheiden wrote the entire thing. So that's why I said in Steve Perry, they call him S.T. Perry in other books, they basically wrote a lot of the early stuff. Mark Verheiden wrote, I think, all the way to Genocide, maybe. I can't remember. I have to check. And then Steve Perry did the first novelizations. So I call them the Chris Claremonts of the Alien comics because they're the ones that set the tone for what would come later in the Aliens um, mythos through Dark Horse. But with that said, I do have one complaint. Newt fell in love with one of Hicks' grunts in the last series. His name was Butler. When they go to what they think is the aliens' homeworld by a doctor named Lorona, Butler gets torn in half by a drone. And rather than dying, he finds out that he's an android. And Hicks tried to keep them separated on the journey. And Hicks even tells Newt, he goes, I tried to keep you away. She's like, why didn't you just tell me? So with that said, as issue 6 of volume 1 ends, you're kind of left on a cliffhanger where Newt's saying, we'll find somewhere where we can rebuild Butler. And then she sums up to the degree of better than what he was. And then she goes, well, he already was better than what he was. Because these androids, they think and feel like humans. They bleed like humans. They have implanted memories, etc., so forth. And Butler's having a hard time coping with it. And so as this series opened, Butler's kind of pushing away from her because he's trying to process this like a human. And we see her laying here with him. She goes, I wake up early, watching Butler sleep. For a moment, I imagined he was dreaming. But Butler was an android. His sleep had been programmed. His human functions were there to camouflage his true nature. How many hours of study had gone into the soft purr of breath, the slow rise of non existent lungs? In issue 1, she's trying to find closeness, and she looks at Butler and she goes, oh God, I love you so much. And he shoves her away. He goes, Newt, I'm sorry. I'm trying to deal with what I'm thinking. So we see them here cuddling. She goes, for a time, I thought I loved it. And then her tone changes. So see how we have the light kind of coming in on her? And then her in shadows, Butler, the illuminated light. She goes, I'd let it touch me. I'd let it. As she leaves, she goes, my God, what's happened to me? And so what my beef is I kind of get what they're going at is the idea of what's human. But I hate that we go from Newt seemingly kind of finding someone that she loves and then essentially just kind of pushes him away. It just kind of really felt like a very odd tonal shift. I get the storytelling aspect, but it's just part of the story that I will admit that I don't like and just kind of makes me look at Newt differently. With that said, Newt, while she's on the space, is seeing transmissions from Earth. She sees an old man and a little girl named Amy and the remaining of what she calls her family. And the guy is basically just doing a documentary of life in the ruins of Earth. We see Amy saying, Daddy, I'm scared. It's getting dark again. Getting more difficult to maintain the uplink. Once the creatures destroy the relay station, will be cut off. We'll keep transmitting until... This way, Ray. People have been congregating near the first insurance plaza. We heard rumors of a military food dump. Fresh water. But as they go for it, we see text come in saying, don't be afraid of her. Showing her. And in the ruins of one of the cities, we see a hive. And it's just very much a surreal feeling thing that this was a place on Earth. And we see a man dragging this woman, kicking and screaming. Can't you see she loves you? She loves all of us. You're only making it harder. She joins with you. There's no more pain, only the peace that comes from being with God. See the inevitable happen. Don't be afraid. She only wants to touch you. Why is this important? Going back to volume 1, the way that the entire outbreak happened, there was a man named Arona. He worked for a corporation named Bionational. He got illegal footage of the Xenomorph and became a fanatic thinking that it was their god. He called it the Church of Immaculate Incubation. And so they storm Bionational, enter the Queen's chamber, and saying that they want these dreams that have been transmitting to them to stop. They want to join with her. So, as they are infected, the ones that have not been hit with the facehugger yet, they pull out of the facility and go into hiding. The military couldn't stop all of the hives. That's how Earth got overrun. These people dragging people to the Queen are what's left of this cult. And they're the ones who said that this was a military food drop for fresh food and water. They were using it as a trap. And as this transmission ends, we see Newt reaching for the screen, screaming, Amy. And this little girl is important to her because she sees herself. But before she can have any type of catharsis, hoping maybe the transmission will come back, Hicks and Powell launch their coup. Things ensue, and the aliens overrun third base. And as we come to the end of this particular chapter, Spears returns. He says it's time to return to Earth. This is a hard read, my friends, but it is very entertaining if you love drama, pacing, and mood. And I've said this in all the videos thus far. I've said it on social media. This, to me, will always be the official sequel to Aliens, along with Genocide, Hive, etc., so forth. To me, Alien 3, Romulus, Resurrection, Prometheus, Covenant, that to me is extended universe. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever it is like to get your action figures and comics, and grab this series. If you've enjoyed this review, really would appreciate taking a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little queen bell next to subscribe, that way as I continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel. I love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure to link down in the description. Speaking of, if you enjoy what I do and you'd like to support the channel, I've additionally left a PayPal tip jar link down in the description. And if not, I still appreciate you stopping by and checking out this video. Either way, hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.